Welcome back, folks. Cape Rugby TV. We carry on talking about what's happening in the world of Western Province Club Rugby. As you know, a few weeks ago, well, in fact, it's been running for quite a while now. Western Province Rugby has been doing the Esports Challenge, and specifically over the last few months, they've been running the 3 Teams, 1 City Esports Challenge, and we've had Junaid Moerat from Western Province Rugby on the show with us a few times now, telling us a little bit more about the challenge. And we've got a new challenge coming up now. We've got to get Junaid back on the show. Junaid, nice to have you back. How are things there?
JP, how are you doing? Thanks for having me. We're moving along. Glad to be speaking to the viewers again.
Yeah, so it's fantastic to have you back on the show. This is something, of course, that is now we're seeing some engagement. Let's do a quick recap. Let's just go back a few months. Obviously, some of the fans would have been just tuning in now for the first time. But in a nutshell, for the last few months, you've been running an esports challenge where there are representatives from 3 teams playing on Xbox or on PlayStation to win a championship.
Yeah, so somewhere just around when lockdown started, we launched the 3 Teams, 1 City, which was Cobras Cricket, Cape Town City Football Club, and obviously the DHL Stormers. We had fans interact and play against each other. We had some of the professional players that also partook, and we got to a point now where we had the semi-finals and we had the finals that took place over the weekend. Obviously, these were representatives of the 3 franchises that managed to sort of get through, all their qualifiers. So that is something that has come to an end now, and obviously we'll announce who those winners were and which teams they represented.
So just going back a step here, some of the Stormers players and the Province players also playing Xbox and PlayStation, and it sounds like some of them were pretty good at this.
Yeah, correct. I mean, look, there was also a tournament, I think earlier in the year, that was hosted by Vodacom, and I think one of the Stormers players actually partook. You had a few players that played against some of the pro players from Bulls and Sharks, etc. So we had them partaking in this 3 Teams, 1 City as well, and they came up against fans. We also had one night out at one of the sponsors, 6 Gun Grill Place, and we had the players play against each other. Damien Trocchi, Jaco Coetzee, Dan du Plessis were some of the guys that actually played. So it's been great fun, and it's been entertaining, and but we obviously get to the business end where the pro gamers and esports players, are actually taking it quite seriously, and they're actually playing to win it.
So you've gone through a few months now where you went through general process and then into semi-finals and finals. Have you got your winner now? Do we know who the winner is?
Yeah, so we've got a winner on both PlayStation and Xbox, and fortunately for us at Western Province Rugby, both those winners, Zuhair Abrams and Divak Danji, both represented the DHL Stormers. So they would have come up in the semi-finals, I think, against one of the Cape Town City FC players and one of the, on Xbox, I think it was one of the Cobras players. So they both won their semi-finals, and, they both also won their finals. So they were crowned champions of the 3 Teams, 1 City Esports Challenge.
Well, there we go. Stormers win. Stormers win. That's what we're looking for. Junaid, of course, over the last 6 months, we've been looking for every possible way to keep the clubs engaged, keep them talking about their club names, and make sure that the clubs remain active. Now, of course, in the absence of actual matches, we see that you've come up with a creative way to have our leagues and fixtures back in place.
Yeah, so it's quite interesting because we're finalizing that, and we'll obviously send out communications to the clubs shortly. The idea behind it was to run an esports challenge. I mean, we know all the clubs, probably 80% of the guys would be playing PlayStation or Xbox, and they'd be involved in some sort of gaming. So
I just want to pause you there for a second. I just want to emphasize to any of the viewers that are watching now, folks, we are not talking about physical rugby games that are being played. We're talking about esports behind the lens, so to speak. Junaid, am I right?
Yeah, correct. So we're talking about guys that would sit at home or get to a venue and they'd have a PlayStation control in their hand and they'd be playing against someone else.
Not to be confused with physical rugby practices, folks. So when we're talking here about league structures and competitions and fixtures, we're specifically talking about esports challenge that's happening between the clubs.
Yeah, correct. So the idea was to take the Western Province Club Rugby leagues, as it stands. There were fixtures drawn up for our rugby, which obviously didn't happen because of lockdown. So we've had the idea here in the office to mimic those fixtures and have the clubs compete against each other in Super League A, B, C, and the different regions, but on a PlayStation playing FIFA. So it would require, and I make an example, if we get to Super League A and we have Hamilton's playing Durban, we try and get each one of them to send one representative, and you'd actually have them competing against each other on a PlayStation.
So this is a tournament format. We're bringing back, so like you say, I mean, you've got the league structures, you've got the FIG structures, Super League A, Super League B, City, Northern, the PAR region, the Simonsburg region, everybody can participate.
Correct. So the idea then is to get each team to have one or two representatives, so that I have one guy playing and they'd have a backup in case the one gets injured. His finger might not work after 10 minutes.
Well.
So that is the idea, and I can tell you anywhere across the world, if we look at the English Premier League soccer, which most people follow, they've got an identical English Premier League esports league that runs throughout the season. So when we saw Arsenal play Everton last week, you had Arsenal play Everton, where they had a representative of each team competing in an esports FIFA 20 game. So the idea for us is to have the same thing and to mimic our league fixtures, which would have been a rugby match. We now have it as an esports FIFA 20 match on PlayStation.
Okay, so just to get this right now, the clubs are going to go and have to look for their most talented player in their club environment. And they don't have to be skilled at playing rugby physically on the field. They're going to go look for their esports champion, PlayStation experts.
Yeah, correct. So I can tell you that the players would probably know who within the club is the best guy at PlayStation or at FIFA 20 or in esports. So he might be playing third team or second team, and but they would know, look, this guy is skilled. Let's send him to represent the club, because he could potentially lift up the Super League A or Super League B trophy at the end of the season.
Or could be an administrator as well. Doesn't have to be a player.
It could be it could be an administrator as well. But I would assume that it would probably be the players that are more equipped to partake.
All right. Well, this is very exciting. I think we've got a whole new dimension now to talk about when it comes to talent identification.
Well, true. I mean, if we get this thing to work at Western Province, we could have it as a standing fixture throughout the year, and it just gives the club another channel or another avenue to market itself. To potentially get sponsors. As we know, these things could get streamed live, and we create content out of it. And you also start attracting guys that might come to the rugby and not actually enjoy playing rugby, but they might be gamers, and you can attract them to your club, and they could actually represent your club.
So we're definitely going to be able to showcase fixtures, logs, and results.
Look, it would basically be the same that you do every week on rugby. You'd interview the captain. You'd have fixtures. You'd have logs. You'd look at who's going through to the next round when we sort of get to a top 16. And the beauty of it as well, and similar to what we have with the score sevens, is that towards the end of it, you'll have the clubs that can play across leagues. So
Yeah.
you could have guys in the regions coming up against the Super League A club, obviously in the form of a PlayStation FIFA 20 match.
And I'm assuming that each player will be sitting behind his console wearing his or her rugby jersey, club jersey.
Correct. So we'll encourage them to wear their club jerseys or their club golfers.
Yeah.
The idea is to obviously run it over a number of weeks and have it at Newlands potentially.
Yeah.
So we'd have the 1 week we'd have maybe Super League or Super League B, and we'd have the 15 guys come in and the fixtures would be drawn up, which we're hoping to release next week, and they'd know what time they're playing, which field they're playing on. And when I say field, it would mean which console they're playing on, because we'd probably have 4 consoles, and they'd have these fixtures running, and the logs would be updated, and you'd be able to send out that information to the clubs, and we'd be able to talk about it on the show.
Junaid, then just finally, I'm assuming you guys will send out the communication to the clubs shortly in terms of how to sign up.
Correct. So we'll be finalizing it in the office, and then we get Faisal and Danny and Denzel, and that team is obviously looking at it and finalizing it. We'll send the communication out to the clubs, and there would be a link where they could actually decide which player, and they'd register that player, and he'd know exactly which day they would need to be on Newlands.
That's great stuff, Junaid. We'll catch up again soon. We're looking forward to seeing who our top superstars are coming out of the Club Rugby Esports Challenge.
Cool. JP, thanks a lot for having me, and it's always good to be on the show.
Thanks, Junaid. There we go, folks. Junaid Moerat, Western Province Rugby. The Esports Challenge coming up then for clubs pretty soon. That is so exciting. We'll be taking a look at logs, results, and fixtures. You'll be able to get your top stars from your club at Newlands playing against each other. Of course, very much then exciting for the club rugby structures, and well, we're certainly looking forward to now profiling a whole new type of player, and that'll be the esports player, folks. So look out for that. Then look out for the correspondence from Western Province Rugby, because we're obviously very keen to see who it is that you recruit at your club structures. But that is a wrap from us here this evening, folks. We'll take a break then until next week. We'll see you again next week, same time, same place. Have a fantastic rugby weekend. Bye bye.